Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first Australian Backyard Wrestling Roundtable discussion series here. And today for the GBYWN Australian podcast, we will be discussing throughout this roundtable the best finishing manoeuvres in Western Australian backyard wrestling history. And from there, I will introduce each member of this esteemed panel here today. Firstly, former ICWS heavyweight champion, former member of the Radical Movement, leader of the Australian version of the Radical Movement. I'm talking about Mike Delcanho.
Hey, what up, Carl? Carl, Aston?
Aston will be fine. Aston will be fine.
Aston.
From there we go to a man who's a former WCWA Tag Team Champion, GBYWN Australian Tag Team Champion, GBYWN Australian Heavyweight Champion, Luke Monet.
Sup, fellas? How's it going?
Yeah, we're good, mate. Yeah,
how is
cheers.
it pronounced? Is it Monet or Monet?
Monet.
Everyone calls it Monet.
We just
Shh. Announcements.
Next,
Dynamo.
former WCWA Heavyweight Champion and GBYW Australian Tag Team Champion, which is a WCWA Tag Team Championship as well. I'm talking about Jack Wallace.
Yeah, g'day, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. And of course, my friend right here, who we've had a few recent podcasts with. I'm talking about former GBYWN Australian Heavyweight Champion and ICWS Heavyweight Champion, Night Stalker Daniel Johnston.
Hi.
Alright, boys. Today we're talking about the best finishes in Western Australian backyard wrestling history. Let's start with you, Delcanho. What do you think, mate?
I'm sorry. Are we not going to talk about the other topics? Or...
Not yet.
Okay, alright.
Alright,
Go
DJ,
on.
just wait your turn.
Fucking hell.
Alright, so I'm pretty much judging mine based off, like, not really the legacy of the move, more like the actual move itself and how well it's done and how well it's been used as a finishing move. And so it actually physically pains me to go for the gyro kick.
You fucking idiot.
The gyro kick by Luke Monet.
By Luke Monet, because just, he hits it out of nowhere. It actually genuinely, like, he does it on above the level of the West Australian pro scene. Like, just the timing, the accuracy, just the connection, everything about it is just absolutely flawless, and it suits his character and his wrestling style perfectly.
I see. Anyone here dispute that? Why should the gyro kick not be known as the best finisher?
I've been hit by a few times.
Yes.
Off the top rope twice.
So why are you swearing so much?
Mate, off the top rope a few times, once at Revenge and once at the outside. I think it's a pretty effective finisher, but it wouldn't be my finisher of choice. But
Fair
it's very, very, very high up there as my favourite finisher. Like, you've seen me use it a couple of times against Delcanho at ICWS. Well,
that was a twisting crossbody.
Yeah, like, I tried to use it, and I hit it on Monet himself once.
DJ, what have you got to say, mate?
Friends.
Well, I just want to basically echo what Jack and Mike just said, in that I think that it's a really good choice to start off the topic with, because it meets the criteria of what I think a good finish should be, and that is you can hit it on everyone. So, like, there's nobody that you can't work that move into a match with, no matter what their size, which makes it so effective, and it looks legitimate against everyone you hit it on as well.
The reason why it's not my number one is because, as much as it's a realistic move, you wouldn't exactly use it in a real fight. You can't just pull it out of nowhere. You could do, if you had a bit of a distance, and obviously in a real fight, you could give it a shot, but like most of the time...
Well, this is backyard wrestling.
Exactly.
It is fake.
But you
so
are trying to emulate a real fight. Wait, it's fake?
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Alright, we haven't even gotten to the second speaker yet.
Alright, well, there we go. A few opinions there. I think the gyro kick, personally, is a great finishing move, and Luke has made it his own, and anyone else that attempts to replicate that will just be playing
Fucking
homage
shit.
to Luke Monet. Luke, now we come to you. What do you think is the best finishing move in WA wrestling, backyard wrestling history?
Right, well, I'm glad this isn't a video because I've got a really nice smile on my face. I'm loving life right now, but I'm going to look like a cocksucker when I say that my favourite finisher is, yes, one of yours, Delcanho. It's actually the Cradle DDT.
Great fucking move.
The Dreidel DDT.
Sick move.
Great fucking move.
When he said that he was going to start using the Cradle DDT, and I dubbed it the Dreidel DDT because he's Jewish.
Shalom.
Man, I loved it ever since he started using it, and being hit with it actually made me happy, which was a weird thing to say.
That's weird. That's
Yeah.
really weird.
Maybe you took it like really badly and just fucked up your brain. Like
That's also true.
Delcanho, you've had a few finishes in your time.
I have.
Do you think this is your best finishing move that you've had?
See, like my finishes are just adapted based off the character and style, and also size I was going with at the time. Like I started off with a rolling cutter as a primary finisher, cloverleaf as a secondary. Then kept the cloverleaf and shifted the standing finish because the rolling cutter the setup was slow with the inverted DDT lift, and so I switched to the over easy because I was a bit bigger, I was a bit stronger because I've been working out for Schwa, and so I could hit this over easy because Mitch actually suggested it when I was playing a match with him. He suggested it as a finish. I'm like, good idea. So I kept using the over easy. And I came back, was skinny as fuck. I was like, shit, what do I do? Use that Cobra clutch thing.
The Cobra clutch
The
into
Cobra
the
clutch
rear
triangle
naked
choke
choke
thing.
type thing. Yes.
Yeah, like that was okay. And then
It was more of a...
the cradle DDT. I was just like, if people make this look good, it looks incredible. Like, and I think towards the end, the shooting star press was actually that became more my thing. But the cradle DDT was just brutal. Everyone took it clean.
And do you feel it's probably maybe your best finishing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the over easy is more like known to me, as known as like my move.
Yes.
But I like in terms of effectiveness, I'd say the cradle DDT.
Okay. DJ, what have you got to say, mate?
Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to feel like I'm trying to like dominate the conversation.
No, you're
but
fine.
If I had something that I wanted
for like
to...
10 minutes.
If I had something that I wanted to add about the dreidel DDT as a move, even though it contradicts the principle that I just discussed in the previous move, in that he can't necessarily nail it on someone of like Big Ace's size, what's good about this, in this case, is that it sums up Mike Delcanho as a wrestler, in that it's technically proficient, it's a bit flashy, it's something that not many other people could pull off well, and it's brutal. Because at the end of the day, that's what he is. He can do all this technical shit, but he is vicious in the ring. And so it just sums up him as a character.
There was no
So
mention
well.
of Jewish either. Like, that's crazy. I thought that would be...
Yeah, I was...
Yeah, well, you mentioned it.
Honestly, I was feeling really serious when I made that point. I was thinking, that's a pretty interesting point.
A very good point.
It is,
Did you have
it is.
something to say? Yeah, you tried to put your hand up before.
I was going to give a few, like, what I thought would...
Don't
be
say
finishes as well.
DJ took your
No.
answer. Okay.
I was going to say, like, I wanted to give a few extra, like, good mentions to it. I'll do it maybe at the end of the topic or something.
We'll do honourable mentions at
Yeah.
the end, yeah?
Yeah, of course we will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what-
Jack.
But one per applicant at this point.
Yeah.
Jack, your thoughts on the cradle DDT?
Dreidel.
Oh, well, my thought is, like, I reckon in a wrestling perspective, it's an absolutely brutal move. Like, you're laying straight on top of your head. Should
Yes.
usually knock you out of your concussion, one or the other. And in a real fight, if someone did that on the floor. I'll add to my point on the whole real fight thing I've been talking about when it gets to my turn about talking about finishes. And so I just think, like, when you hit the dreidel DDT, like, it's a brutal move. Should have the opponent out cold unless there's someone like Brock Lesnar kicking out, like, or John Cena kicking
If I
out.
ever hit the cradle
I-
DDT,
I'm like-
I would just run
yeah.
away. Like, I wouldn't even go for the pin. I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, I'm in love with the Brock Lesnar reference.
That's
Because
great.
he's like all of our favourite at the moment,
Because
basically.
he's getting like so many like spears from Roman Reigns or whatever. Like,
Yeah, and he's just like, fuck off.
yeah, it's just like, get the fuck off me. But, yeah,
Alright.
like, I think the cradle DDT is a great, like, it's a good finisher simply because the head is a fucking good spot for, like, you want to.
That's the
effective.
death blow. That's
Exactly,
the
it's
death
the
blow.
death
By all dealers.
All right, well, let's get away from Barrett or Delcanho and Monet sucking each other's dick by saying that each other's finishing move is the best. Jack, what do you think is the best finishing move in WA yarding history?
And why?
Crossbody.
Well, on my point about the real fight, I think the super kick is my number one favourite finishing move because you can hit it
Fucking
out.
Are you
of-
talking about the special beam cannon by Mykonos?
You can.
Yeah,
I was
just
talking about
those
special
two.
beam cam by Mykonos. The sweet shoe music by Shawn Michaels and whatever you call your super kick.
So West Australian backyard wrestling.
The
Shawn
Carl
Michaels,
kick.
music.
The Carl kick.
The reason I like the super kick so much is at one point I wanted to use it. Was I ever using it back in the trampoline days for a little bit?
Slight bit, yeah, you used it, like...
But I think Chris used it. I think everyone used
everyone used it. I used it.
It's
Chris
because,
tried to use it.
It's a move.
Fucking hell!
It's a
Yeah!
yeah. Wait, no.
That first high five was really good, but the rest sucked. Oh, fuck, no, don't give
no.
Luke another chance. Don't give Luke another chance.
Basically, like, I like the super kick so much because in a real fight, you pop out of nowhere in a wrestling ring, and then during a match, pop out of fucking nowhere. You know.
In a real fight, you could fucking clock some motherfucker with it.
If I ever meet anyone in a real fight with super kick, I would just.
I would pop.
Just imagine a world star hip hop video and someone just pulls out a super kick.
I've seen it.
Mike, what can I do with the 70?
Hey, don't interrupt the podcast asking about where to put your empty beer bottle. You wait
Why
on
should
the
we
floor.
fucking pretend that we're not
Pass it
sitting
here.
here having beers?
Look, right there. You don't need to interrupt everyone's train of thought about where to put empty beer bottles, alright? We're in the middle of a
You can
podcast
suck
here.
my dick.
Don't make me edit this afterward, okay?
Nah, fuck off.
I don't want to have to edit it. Luke, get down back into your seat.
Oh, look, I've started to rumble
Wait,
now.
Barrett, can you me something?
Alrighty, okay. Guys, topic, please.
We're back
Alright,
on
here we
topic.
go. We're
Okay,
back on.
so Jack says the super kick. Delcanho, your thoughts on the super kick?
I wasn't
Oh,
finished.
super kick's a beautiful finisher. I don't know whose version of the super kick I would favour the most. It would probably be Aston Crude's super kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a shame, in this instance, it's about finishers, and I don't think I ever really used it as a finisher.
It does suck a little bit. But what bug, if I may start speaking, if that's possible?
Go.
Yeah. This thing's already started. The thing that bugs me about super kicks is when people use it as a finisher and it doesn't look good.
Because
Like,
they
people-
can't, because
people
they
have the
don't have
extension.
it. They don't put that oomph behind it that it needs.
Like, my favourite super kicks, I hate when people do it and they get like maybe chest height. Like, for example, I mean, it's Mitch's finisher. Mitch doesn't get the extension.
Mykonos, for those playing at home.
Mykonos, my apologies. He doesn't get the full-on straight extension. I don't know why I'm doing hand gestures, it's a podcast. But
We can see it.
you guys can see it. Basically, in the end of it, the foot does make connection to the chin. That's what it needs. It doesn't need to be the straightest thing. It obviously doesn't need to be the most beautiful thing if it's a finishing move. If it gets the job done, it gets the job done. But if people are hitting super kicks, it's hitting the chest, and that's the end of the match. It's like, what? It's not a super kick. That's just a thrust kick to the chest. That's not good. That's just a kick. It's got to look good. And
Understood.
yeah.
Okay. DJ, what are your thoughts on the super kick and its effectiveness and its place in WA yarding
Alright,
history?
well,
Who does the best
I think,
one?
like, first, I guess if I had anything on the critical side to say, it's that a lot of people seem to come in, and this really applies to wrestling in a broader sense. A lot of people come in and think, oh, I can make myself look really cool by using a super kick. The super kick is not some special move just because it's a really quick, easy move to apply. It's still got to be used by the right person, you know? And I think that its place in WA yarding is that it's always been one of those moves that even if you as a yarder don't have the most proficient skills in the basics of wrestling, even a yarder can still make it look good, which is why I've always felt that it's had a place on yarding shows and within the yarding realm, because people can just bust that out and you go, oh shit, yeah, that looks sick.
Yeah.
Look like he knocked him out.
Yeah.
I'm going to just echo Luke's thoughts there in saying that I don't like when people do like the kind of like half-assed super kick where they just fold their leg at the knee and just you can see the side of the foot on the chest. You can see there's no connection with the head.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to just follow that up by saying the most annoying thing for me with the super kick is seeing people slap their leg like that. Blatantly just seeing them go,
That's
because they want that sound so much that they think that's what they need to do. I would take a super kick that's dug right into that fucking face with no sound over a shitty looking super kick that has the slap sound any day.
But we got to take into consideration when Aston does it, he slaps the rear leg rather than the one kicking the face.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. He disguises the
Yeah.
fact that he's checking
Yeah.
the move. I hate when people just blatantly...
You got to do it so people are busy looking at your leg, not looking where your hand's gone. If you lift your hand up this high to do the clap or do the clap this way, the people are going to be looking at your hand and saying, wow, look at him, make it look fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost like if you chose a photo for your display photo on your social media, you want a photo where, like, whatever you want to be the center of attention, whether it be yourself in a group, you want the people looking at it to go straight to that because there's something going. So by extension in wrestling, you want to have that super kick be where the people are focused on what you're doing with the actual kick, not your whole body.
And it's the same with the way I do my punches. You know, I clap my leg when I punch people, but
and
people are
nobody
too busy
notices
looking at
because
the
everyone's
fist.
looking at the fact like, oh, that fist is actually like, you know,
spot on. In my opinion, with the super kick, you know, I've over the years. Wrestling in XCW, Johnny V did the super kick, Blade Shaw did the super kick, I did the super kick. We all
Blade, what?
Yeah,
it looked fucking
skinny
it looked fucking
skinny
sick.
Blade.
He put it out in his last match with
that was.
He did because I told him to do it as a bit of a flashback. But you know, we all shared it. It was never really a finisher. It was always a setup to a finisher, and that's how I've always used the super kick. But you got Mick and Us who does the special beam cannon, but sometimes he doesn't get it quite up there, but that might be a fault of the opponent as well. Like when he did it to Three Dog at the last show, he got it right there, right where he needed it to be.
Yeah.
But, you know, other times it hasn't hit its mark as well. But, you know, when I did pro wrestling, I wasn't allowed to do the super kick because the Shark and James Grace both did the super kick. But the problem that I had was that I did the super kick better than both of them. And that was the one move that I had.
And nobody could really deny that either if you were looking at it objectively.
No, and you guys might agree with me because you're my friends,
No,
I think, you know, if people take a look at mine compared to theirs...
The Shark didn't really do a super kick. He did an average kick.
it was a mediocre
nothing
kick.
super about it. Not to just be
I
critical.
think James
I'm not
Grace's
being critical.
super kick was the worst super kick.
And I'm not being critical just for the sake of it. Like, believe me, like I will give credit where credit is due, but I did not like the way that he applied that move.
Yeah,
There's certain people that do it. Like Dolph Ziggler's super kick, I don't really like it. It's a matter of taste. Because I feel like it's all about the sizzle and not about the steak. So you can blatantly see him slap his well-tanned thigh.
Well-tanned.
Anyway, that's my thought on the super kick. I think it's a great move, but I don't think it's a great finishing move as far as it pertains to WA yarding. I know Mykonos has done it, but in general, it seems like a lot of people used it as a setup to the finisher. Or
put my hand up though.
DJ, what would you like to say?
I just wanted to bookend this topic by saying that I do think that one person that used it really effectively was MC Crude. Because in his heyday of yarding, nobody could throw a better super kick than him.
Except me. Thank you
very much. Yeah, but no one fucking knew who you were. Didn't know how to use it.
We didn't know who he was either.
Right, but within that context, in that time and place, he really made it look like it was an intense move. You know.
Like, Aston, you realise how weird it was when you rocked up to that first IWS show? And you were this, like, 23-year-old guy with tights. Like, actual, genuine wrestling tights. And we were all just like, what?
Wow, he has gear.
Like,
this guy's serious about this shit.
Like, that was just, like, this mind-blowing moment.
Did you guys think that same thing when me and Jack had our gear? Or did you think
because we just thought, okay,
this is 2010. By that point, everyone had gear.
When Carl actually debuted, everybody wore, like, boardies and a singlet. That was the thing. And, like, white kick pads. But then by the time that you and Jackie came in, it was more like, oh, these kids have grown up with technology their whole lives, so they obviously know how to buy shit online.
I hate to cut you off, but we're supposed to be talking about finishing here, and I don't want to get into
Let's move on.
I'm keen on this one.
DJ, what are your thoughts? What is the best finishing manoeuvre, finishing hold that there's been in WA yarding?
Well, it's really a tough one to answer if I really objectively want to look at who has the best finisher in WA yarding. But the answer that I'm going to come up with, and hopefully this doesn't shock people too much, but my answer is the three-handled credenza, the spinning neckbreaker by Ryan Tate. And the reason for that is...
the name. What is he called?
Fisherman's...
No.
Rotator.
Rotator.
The rotator, and of course he uses like just a sick as fuck name like, to put over his character.
When he first started using it, he did it with the bridge, but then he just started doing the...
Right, and the reason that I like it is because it's got... sorry to cut you off there, Mike.
No, it's fine.
The reason that I think it's the best finisher in WA yarding is because ever since I've seen it, it's always looked good. I've never seen it look shit. and it can be hit on anyone, same as the point with the gyro kick. But
I remember a shit one.
it also, well, alright, you know, maybe one or two, but it's one of those things where it's like, not only can you hit it on anyone, but it looks like it takes skill to do it well, you know. Nobody can get quite that same amount of spin and whiplash out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of those things where if you're going to do a high spot, he might just whip that move out of nowhere on the grass or something, and everyone's like, fuck, even though it's a relatively safe move to take.
Luke.
If there's anything that makes me kind of, you know, love a move more, it's when there's like one of those, I don't know how to explain it. You got all these indie moves that've got like the fast rotations and crap. That's one of the main reasons why I like Ryan's finisher so much, because the opponent starts off looking at the mat, and by the end of it, he's like straight on his back, and it's such a short, fast move, and it's just
He's in position to be pinned, to lose.
It's good. I like it.
Delcanho, your thoughts?
No, as in I took the rotator while my return match, and you know it is you're very disorientated. Like just in terms of effectiveness, like it actually does genuinely like.
Yeah, that's legit.
So is that a criticism or like a positive comment that you're
no,
making?
That's
like,
a positive, man. It adds legitimacy to the field.
Because he manages to just.
You know, it's a great finisher. I probably wouldn't put it up there in the annals of, you know, West Australian backyard finishes. My opinion.
Well, I was just referring to like currently what I think at this time. I'm not disagreeing with you, but continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but definitely a good finisher, and definitely suits Ryan. Ryan's everything to do with him, really.
Fucking, he just nails his character.
I really like his double knees.
Right. I think we shouldn't get off on too much of a tangent.
Yeah,
we could really spend a whole podcast talking about how amazing Ryan is. Quite
we could. That could be a topic. Ryan takes.
But we're not dicks.
Add that to the list, like Ryan.
We will add it to the list. Okay, look, have we heard basically from you about how you feel? So, Jack, what do you feel about the rotator?
Well, as everyone who keeps up to date with WCW and is in WCW has seen how many times I have versed Ryan Tate in not only ICWS but in WCWS. I've taken the rotator fuck knows how many times.
At least 5.
Tag team matches, singles matches, a lot of times.
How many
ICWS feud, there was 2 matches in that feud, wasn't there?
You're at least in double G.
The Elite Alliance franchise, I don't even know how many times
I've
wrestled
wrestled Ryan more than I've wrestled Monet.
Jeez.
No, let's not go too far on that one.
No, he could make an argument.
It's close,
he could make an argument for that.
Because you guys didn't touch an ICWS, did you?
No.
Anyway, continue. Your thoughts?
The rotator is just an effective move. I mean, the first time I versed Ryan, like when me, Antilicus and Monet, known as Dynamo at the time, first joined ICWS, obviously, like my first match against someone that was in WCWA was against Ryan, and I took the rotator on the outside at one point, and that took the
you did it on the grass?
Yeah, it took the wind out of me.
Hell.
Took the wind out of me. So it wouldn't be the first time he's done it. I'm pretty sure we did it again at we did a hard time too. Did we take a rotator off the apron through like a?
Yeah, you did. Through the yellow sign.
Through the classic yellow sign.
And with the Koji clutch.
Alex has taken that too.
Like I've taken quite a few fucking different variations of rotators, either through something onto something. You know, it's an effective move, but like I said, I've chosen the super kick as my top move. The rotator is up there, but when you look at it, like you know, it's not a massive like standout move to me. I mean, it's a fucking sick finisher for someone especially his size, but it's not up there as my favourite.
Okay.
Can I just quickly add that like how fucking sick is Jack's contribution so far to the podcast? Like, is he kind of surprising everyone here because he's so quiet?
No, because it's not usual that you get to hear Jack's thoughts on a specific,
that's what I'm
specific
saying. I fucking
subject.
love it, man.
Thanks, DJ.
And we got Brock Lesnar in there, so thanks a lot.
And
Thank you,
I mean,
Jack's on
just
fire.
on
Jack's
fire
on fire.
today.
I am file.
As far,
And then he goes and ruins it. Okay, continue, Carl.
yeah. Well, I mean, I like the rotator. I've always enjoyed it, but it's you can say it's a finisher, but it's usually the precursor to the Koji clutch. But he has one with that move, so it is technically a finisher. I love the move, but I wouldn't say it's the best. I've got my own idea on what I think is the best, and I guess I'll just get into that now. My number 1 WA yarding finishing move is the Supernova by Clint Marshall.
Oh shit!
See, I'll talk about that in a second as well.
You got the setup. You got the setup. when, so you're like, oh, here we go. He sets it up. When he gets to that point, it could be a reversal. You don't know. You can do certain things out of it. You can turn it into a tombstone. They can slip behind, hit the gyro kick, slip behind, turn him around, kick to the gut.
Roll
the
him
game
up.
over by Alex Stone. There's so many different options of what you can do. There can be a roll-up out of it. But then when he finally comes down with part 2 of the move, every single time I'm like, he must
Shit's
be
done.
dead. He's
Shit's
dead.
done. It's done.
Because when he hit it with me and I looked at the footage, I was like, looked like I died, but I was safe as fuck, Delcanho.
Alright, I have a lot on that topic because I'm the guy who actually found the move and suggested it to Clint Marshall.
Whoa, guys,
Yeah,
watch
you
out.
fucking are.
Watch out, guys.
So I have a lot on, it's just such a... I remember my last match in ISWS prior to going to Schwab for my first run of training. I had a 3-way match with Clint and JD.
Great match.
And that ended with Supernova. And Tom, the Wraith from the pro scene, actually sent me a message saying, wow, good job on taking that finish. That finisher is awesome. Went out of his way to say this. He was like, yeah, dude, that was incredible. And it's just something about it because it was introduced to a time where everyone in ISWS around that time used just WWE finishers. Like, they didn't use anything really outside the norm. And then Clint came and used this move that had never... it's a move that's feasible, but you just don't see it.
Yeah.
Like a sit-out pump handle slam, which often transitions into a driver to a degree.
Yeah.
It was just something you hadn't seen in our level of yarding at the time. And so that was just when it was dominated by cutters and super kicks and DDTs and the basics. You got this one guy who comes in out of nowhere and hits this beautiful pump handle slam.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts.
Luke.
I was talking earlier about the honourable mentions. My one was going to be the Supernova and the Supernova Driver. Those were like crisp, beautiful moves. And for instance, as Barrett is pointing to himself off screen, obviously, the Driver was brutal as hell. And I've taken the Supernova, and it looked, in my opinion, that looked great. And it was also a lot of fun to take. And like I knew that once it was hit, I'm like, that's going to look good on camera. And he can hit it on, like, because Clint, being his size, can hit it on a lot of guys. Like, he's hit it on Ice, hasn't he? Or he's hit it on
Chaos.
Hit on Chaos,
And that's
yeah.
fucking
Chaos.
crazy in itself.
And you could tell it was a lot of
yeah.
work to get him up there.
But, like,
He even hit it on Knuckles,
Mm.
who doesn't really have a fucking clue about the biomechanics of like wrestling.
He's gonna,
And look how good it looked,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
It was like that was a
amazing.
credible move to pin someone like Knuckles.
Yeah.
And then you got someone like Dan who spikes on his head.
Yeah.
The move is great. Obviously, I didn't choose that.
My favourite one was the one that he did to Delcanho at Resolution 3 because it was
Yeah, the
And
driver
it was
it
just-
was the best version of it.
It was
that
like
I
a bit
just,
of-
it just fuck.
It was-
that-
it was
boom, he's done.
perfect.
He's done.
It was to end Delcanho's yarding career as well.
Yeah.
It was the move to end it.
Yeah, so Jack, as you're talking now, your thoughts on the Supernova? You've taken it before.
Yeah, I versed Clint Marshall. I think it's been once.
Frostbite.
Frostbite
Frostbite
2013.
Yeah, that's it. And I remember when I was going to go take the move, he called for it. I was just like, alright, here we go. Like, I remember before we had our ISWS debut, I'd watched every single recap. I remember taking a day off school back when I was in year 9, and I was just like I just sat down and watched pretty much most of the recaps, but also when we first found out about ISWS and we got the channel link sent to us by, I think it was Dan, because he was the guy talking to us at the time. I just looked at a few of them, like the most recent ones, like he'd linked us the best shows that they've done, and we were just like, man, this is fucking sick, like there's another Fed. And I remember seeing Clint Marshall's finish with the Supernova, and I was just like, fuck, these guys are like for real, like we thought we were the only ones around, and like we didn't think anyone else around us knew like wrestling. And so like seeing Clint Marshall pull moves off like that, seeing Mark's over easy, seeing your
Outsider's Edge,
the
Razor's
Outsider's
Edge. Yeah.
Seeing all those moves like that, we were just like, holy shit, man, there's another Fed around us, like, it's gonna be sick. And that move was, Clint Marshall's finisher was always one that stood out to me. When I took it for the first time, I was just like, alright, here we go. So we go up, one moment I'm like facing the crowd, like, I'm like that.
You don't know what's going
He
on,
flips me
mate.
up and takes me down. I was just like, one second I'm facing the crowd, the other I'm facing this fucking sky. Like,
The hype that me and Jack each had when we were going to take the move, we both knew, like, okay, this is going to be sick. We were both like, I can't wait to take a Supernova.
It's just one of those moves where if someone like you or Jack or Delcanho takes the move, you're just like, I can't wait to see how much it fucks up these skinny.
every time I'm taking a move and I'm getting thrown around, I'd probably go a good 100 meters.
Yeah.
2000.
If there was a featherweight division in
Otherwise known as 2
WCWA, you'd be
kilometers.
too fucking light for them.
DJ, so your thoughts on the Supernova?
Alright, so I'm
Obviously, when you wrestled him, you couldn't take it.
right, so
you had to
that's
take
where
the
I'm going to
axe
go.
kick.
If I have to say anything critical about it, it's that guys like me that have those limitations, I've seen a lot of people unprepared for what the impact of that move is going to be like. In recent times, he's really tightened up with making sure that he gets that head tucked under and lands him flat. But I remember a lot of people, going back to the one against Knuckles and stuff, just straight up landed on their heads. And that was because they didn't have the skill to take the bump well themselves, which is going to be an issue in yarding. Because you're never going to be dealing with people that all know this is how I should take the pile driver type bump.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking I would be too scared to take this move. And for that reason, I would say that's not my idea for the best finisher, but I agree with everything else that most of the guys have said, because just like a wrestling match in a broader term, it's one of those things that has like a build-up, like a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Hooks that arm
And
underneath.
there's
you're like,
certain
fuck
parts
yes.
of it where you
He
can
lifts him
reverse
up,
it.
you're like, shit, is it going to be a reversal, Then he drops him, and you're like, done.
That's it. It's
That's
done.
it. That's
but
the
it's
finish.
just that process of getting him from point A to point C. Point A is getting the leg there. Then you hook him. Maybe they might hip toss out of it or something.
And I
you
mean-
pick him up. You got him there. They could,
Yeah,
who knows?
and I
He's
just-
telling the story as
Just
the
to
movie's
add to
happening.
that as well, it's one of those things, like how I mentioned with the rotator, is that it just sums up Clint Marshall perfectly. Because every time you watch a Clint Marshall match, especially in the ICWS days, you're thinking to yourself, what is he going to pull out of the hat this time?
It's going to be another Aston
And it's
Crude
like
move.
you go and you watch him versus Chaos from like 2009 when Chaos was still a bigger gentleman.
Yeah.
And it was like, fuck, is he going to actually try and pull it out on Chaos? And then he hooks him, and then Chaos just like
Elbow drops him.
elbow drops him out of it, and you're just like, fuck's sake. Like, you're so excited to see what's going to happen. And that is the mark of a good finisher. It's like when Triple H hooks the arms,
Yeah, Delcanho.
Probably my favourite Supernova moment was my match with Clint, where I went for the Supernova on him, and he straight up slid off my back straight into an inverted DDT position and hit me with a rolling cutter.
Yeah, that was
Straight
awesome.
up.
That was a
That was
fat
such a great
spot.
feud. We should add best feuds onto this fucking list.
We
I reckon.
fucking should.
Anyway,
Is it
look, we got to get away from the Supernova now. We got to give some special mentions to some other finishers that we've liked. And I just want to make another point that there are a lot of guys out there that use these finishing moves that are already an iconic finishing maneuver throughout the history of wrestling. Like, I use the outsider's edge, so I knew that wouldn't be a finish that would be onto this list. Alex Stone uses the Twist of Fate. I knew that wouldn't be on this list because it's already been made into a big deal in the big leagues. JD Flame with the cutter. Although we love seeing him hit the fucking cutter,
He is good at it.
he's great at it.
He's got the best
He's
cutter
better
I've
than
ever
Joey
seen.
Angel at it.
He's
He
got the
can't
best
fucking
cutter that
do
I've
it.
ever seen. He's got the best cutter I've ever seen in Yard.
And Joey Angel has the worst cutter I've ever
Because he's
seen.
a fuckwit.
So, there's a lot of finishing moves out there. Johnny B does the frog splash. All these finishers that have come and gone over the years, they're great, but because they've been established by WWE, whatever, all those types, mainstream wrestlers, that's why they're probably not on this list. But is there any other finishing moves that you guys think, starting with you, Delcanho, that deserve a mention?
I really don't want to toot my own horn. but
Here we go.
Here we go.
I feel-
Beat.
I feel like the shooting star press.
Yeah.
It is fucking sick.
Of course.
It is fucking
Of
sick, though.
course.
I'd say the SSB.
I
It
feel
is
like,
fucking sick.
like you find another person in our Fed that can
But
do that.
unfortunately, you were only able to hit it once or twice for a finish.
Twice.
Twice?
Once for a finish, I landed it on someone twice.
Phaser.
Phaser was the one pin, and I
Nick.
also hit it on Nick Ariel.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so I just personally think...
But I think you're overlooking the over easy. I always thought that was
I
a
do
fucking
love the
awesome
over
finishing
easy.
move.
But
it's
does
like
does it have that same
Well, when he
flair?
hit it flush on someone, it was
Especially
fucking
someone
boom.
bigger than him, like
Yeah,
he would hit it
'cause
on.
he
I
could do
once
it.
pulled ice off a ladder directly into it. 'cause
Yeah,
If
That was fun.
that was
On
good.
the
Yeah,
outside,
that was
that was
really
fun.
good.
when we go back to your point, Carl, it's with the whole supernova, there's like the 3 different stages of the over easy. You've got the start when he's got him in between his legs, could be in back body drop, and he picks him up. Could he obviously slip over and go from there? And then when he hits it, it's done. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I love that finishing move. But Luke, do you have any thought? Are we done with?
Yeah.
Luke,
sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to say it's kind of singing the praises of Delcanho here, but that's another thing about a good finisher is that Delcano's actually pinned enough people with the over easy, just on that.
Yeah.
That by the time they hit the mat and it's the impact, you go done.
Yeah.
Because you've established that he hits people.
He's someone who, when he's got a finisher, he's going to establish it, then everyone remembers that finisher.
A finisher isn't
I've had
so
million
much.
Finishers.
A finisher isn't so much about what the actual physical move is, it's about what that move means in the context of the match.
All right, Luke.
Well, I have...
Honourable mention. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go into huge detail on them, but I've got 3 of them. 2 of them I'm tooting their own horns while they're at the round table. One of them is Jack's finishing maneuver.
The crash and burn.
Crash and burn, that's the one.
But what is that? Is that called anything? Dragon kick?
It's the one-legged drop kick.
What was it called?
It would be a leaping Yakuza.
And I think I take that better than anyone.
Yeah.
Every time he does it, I do I make a big deal out of it.
I take it quite well as well.
I take it pretty well.
Alright, let's all stop sucking each other's dick.
Yeah,
Alright, what else?
I've always loved the finish. When he hit it on me during the Circus of Pain one, that's again too my own hole, but I was like, you need to use that as your finishing.
Next one
goes to DJ's Northern Lariat. Just the impact.
If someone takes it correctly, it looks good. If
For
they
example,
don't,
it looks shit. It looks fucking
that's
shit.
That's obviously a critical thing of that, but
it does look fucking
huge
shit.
Mention to Kai Fusion for taking that beautifully. That was incredible when he hit that. I was like, holy shit, he's dead.
Rex Regan's taken it.
Rex Regan's taken it well. That's because DJ's actually forearm, like a full-on lariat.
My favourite was the one that he gave BMX, Bundy Mac X, because he actually knocked him out.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Knock that motherfucker out with your flannel shirt, you gay cunt.
Moving on, as we said his name before, another honourable mention goes to Rex Regan for bringing out the STO as a finisher, something that has been seen as just a normal move for so long, and for him he puts emphasis on it and makes it look good. Sometimes he does hit it weak, like sometimes it looks like he's running, he's just tripped him over, but when he hits that move, it looks good. And sometimes
it might be just a case of whoever's taking it sometimes doesn't take it well.
And I think that the STO that you bring that up is significant because it's been such a staple finisher in Australian backyard wrestling. Kip Carnage has used it with great effectiveness. Benny Slater used the STO. And so for him to actually have that foresight to say, I think this would be a really great thing to use as an actual finisher, that's an example of taking an average-looking move and turning it into something more than
I think half the problem is Rex, with some of the finishes of his matches, he doesn't establish that move as... If he hits it, it's all over. Like the over easy. He hits it, you know it's over. The supernova, he hits it, it's all over. People have kicked out of that move. He hasn't established it enough because he loved to use that Indian Deathlock a lot.
That was a nice
And the Indian Deathlock is probably more suitable for him, but I agree with what you're saying.
Because he tried so hard to establish the Indian Deathlock, and he should have done that more with the STO.
Accidentally forgot about the STO.
Yeah. But fair enough. Jack, any more finishes that you...
An honourable mention goes to Mantilicus's, what do you call it, the Antilla Crusher?
Antilla Crusher. I was a huge oversight.
Like the Falcon Arrow.
That's a huge oversight.
Because I remember when we hit it at Twisted Metal, what was it, 6?
It would have been 6.
Twisted Metal 6, and it got probably the biggest pop of it.
Fuck that match.
When he hits it like the way he hit it against you at Twisted Metal, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But there are times where he tries it on someone like Chaos.
And he can't sit out. Yeah. He can't sit out with it.
He didn't sit out with me, and this is back in IWS in January 2014. So this is when I was on my skills.
And it took it from being like a great finisher to being a decent move.
But I think half the time with Antilicus, it's a problem because he uses the Antilla Cutter, the Antilla Crusher. He needs to pick something. He's used a bunch of finishes, but he hasn't established one as the ultimate finisher for himself. DJ, what do you think?
honourable mentions. Where should I go with here? Like something that we haven't actually thought about before. Honourable mentions. It's gonna be. It's gonna come across as like. Actually, you know what? It's a basic move, but honourable mention. Nick Aerial, the Swanton Bomb.
As he dubbed it, the aerial assault.
The aerial assault, fucking sick name as well.
Because look, we've seen it a million times, haven't we?
We've seen it a million times, but I dare say that it's the best Swanton Bomb anyone does in Australian wrestling at this time. Unless Mike, of course, unless Mike is sitting there going, "Oh, I've seen it a million times better."
I think when he hits it well, he hits it. But there's a lot of time where he does the
overshoots,
the overshoot, and the back of his head headbutts.
Well, just but just allow me to.
But when he does it at his best,
but that is too often for me to say that he does it cleanly.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah. But just allow me to finish that point though. When he hits it, the thing that makes it my honourable mention is just the sheer beauty and control of him in the actual dive, irrespective of the impact. I would agree with Mike that sometimes he overshoots it and it's like, the back of his head touched their ribs, big deal.
Yeah.
But when he hits that swanton and his feet leave that top rope, it's like slow motion. You're just watching this swan dive and it's just absolute control over his body.
When he does it perfectly, it's like that was
and it doesn't matter what
watch.
The landing looks like, it's always a highlight of the match because it just looks so aesthetically pleasing.
Luke.
Special mention to Nick for you see Hardy doing it off like a ladder up through a table or something, and he kind of just falls.
Turns it into just like a normal somersault instead of a swanton.
Yeah, Nick will still manage to put at least some sort of emphasis before he
I
lands
remember when he
on
did it
cross.
to Jack through a table. From
He's
the
still-
top of the rope to the outside
He's still
through a table.
he's still trying to put that extension on his arms or something to make it look like
Because it shows that he as a character has the control to do that move even if he's jumping off a ladder.
And the thing that astounds me most about his aerial assault, as he called it, was the fact that the first time he done it in WCWA, he hadn't practiced it. He didn't even do it properly back in 2010 at XCW's last event because he's doing it off the edge of a trampoline. First time off the top rope that he's never stood on top of, and he hits it amazingly during the Battlefield Brawl that he was a part of.
And straight away he's known for that swanton.
Yeah, and everyone's just like, holy shit, he still got it. But the fact is, he's never actually hit it properly before because he's done it off the edge of a trampoline or off the top of a ladder.
And that goes back to the conversation that we just had in the previous podcast of that's why if you're going to take yarding seriously, you got to have a decent place to wrestle.
Exactly.
So is that all the mention?
I think, I guess I've got to give a special mention to something, but, I mentioned earlier about finishing moves that are just finishing moves that have been established by mainstream talent like WWE people and all that, but, I've always loved Dark Ice's choke slam, Diffuser's choke slam. I mean, the choke slam is always going to be a great finishing move for the big man that's in any federation. I would love to see Big Ace make the Shazam look a little bit more impactful because I think it got over, but the fact is it's not being hit with the authority that it needs.
Could you just imagine if Ace was to jump up?
And also I think it's got an issue to do with Ace's height in that a lot of people that he wrestles are taller than him. They don't have the space when they're on top of his shoulder where they can crumple up and take a really nice bump from it because it's kind of like...
It's hard, but I can see that could become a great finishing move once all the kinks are figured out. But, the choke slam is always a big deal. After that, I think we've covered pretty much everything that's
every single wrestler's finisher ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've done a good job, and maybe we should wrap it up here and we can talk about another subject later on.
Movies.
But that was the best finishers, as we're all concerned here at the round table for the GBYWN Australian podcast. I'm Aston Crude alongside Mike Delcanho, Luke Monet, Jack Wallace, and the man himself, Night Stalker Daniel Johnston.
Stalker.
We will see you next time at the round table.